how you can build better core strength and stability. It's not always as simple as doing sit-ups, crunches, back extensions, because we're not doing something that the core is built to do. And that is use the core as one unit. So we're trying to get as many muscles working as much of the time as possible. So we need to start selecting more effective exercises. And what we're going to do in this tutorial is talk through what all of that means. The art of core training is all about loading the core, and we want to do it optimally. Now that's just not about the weight that we're using, it's the exercises that we're choosing and how we spread the load around the core. So we're not just picking up a weight and doing a load of sit-ups or crunches or whatever it might be and fatiguing them, because we might be fatiguing one area but not another area, in some respects creating a suboptimal core. So what we need to do is understand this optimal loading. And if you want to build better core strength and stability, just click the link below, go through to my Core Strength and Stability 12-week online program, and you'll go through in a 12-week program, which starts for the beginner and moves you all the way up into an intermediate and advanced level. We start body weight, we move into weighted exercises with dumbbells, with gym balls, with kettlebells, so on and so forth. So we use all these different types of tools to be able to load our core optimally and create a better core strength and stability. As I've mentioned at the moment, we know about the traditional exercises. So the sit-ups, which do the rectus abdominis, so we sit up, we crunch, that gets the muscles at the front. Then we could go into another exercise which might twist, like so. That's going to get the muscles, it's going to get the ones at the front, but it's more so going to get the ones towards the side. We could then talk about back extensions where we extend the spine, so then we're going around the back and we're neglecting what's happening at the front. So that's all well and good. But if we're fatiguing one part over another part, making one part stronger than another part or one part more active than another part, we're going to get an inhibition and it's going to weaken another area. Because what it will do is it'll activate one area but relax the opposite. So we have to understand that and we have to start loading more optimally. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about kettlebells. So I'm going to grab a couple of kettlebells out and we're going to talk about how we can load our core more optimally. Before we get into the kettlebells, I'm just going to talk about some body weight exercises so you kind of get the principle of what I'm talking about. Now this is where the online 12-week program, well, it doesn't begin with this exercise that I'm going to do, it begins more beginner than that. This is as we move through the program, but essentially what we're trying to do, we're trying to get as many muscles working as often as possible. So what we can do is we can come down into the plank, into there, we can lift an arm, and then we can roll up to the side. So what we're doing, when we move, we're spreading the load from here and moving it around here. And every time we move like this, we're shifting it. So we can then go around the other way. So it's a much more effective way of spreading the load around the torso, which is going to be much more optimal for the way that the core is built, because all the muscles go in different directions and they create like a carbon fibre-like structure, which is very strong, but very light. Obviously the body being the light instrument as well. So it becomes very strong for the weight that it is. Now this is where kettlebells can come in and we can start moving these around. Now we can do this with dumbbells, we can do it with other instruments as well, and other tools and other weights. But what we're going to do is just grab a kettlebell, and then what we want to be doing is we want to be holding strong. Now as I pass the weight around, all the way around, I'm getting muscle activation as I pass, because I can feel it. As I come around the front, I feel it come round. I can feel it as I move my shoulders. So I can feel it as I come around the side, I can feel the lats working. So you can feel where the load and the stress and the tension is going as you move it around. What you can also do is pass it around and you can change its direction. So again, you're getting that much more work from the front as it's around the front, because you've got to slow it down, speed it back up. You can obviously do that at the back, but there's a few key things that we need to get right whilst using kettlebells so we can get that optimal loading out of them. And this is how to use a kettlebell correctly, essentially. Now, when we use many other weights, we will stabilize our body, let's just say on a bench or with some sort of instrument. Now with kettlebells, we can't. So the work comes when we hold the body strong, because what we want to try and avoid as we move the weight is that, because this is where a lot of people will go wrong with kettlebells. They're not really loading their core very well because they're just managing the momentum by swinging the body in the opposite direction to the kettlebell, which isn't really working the muscles. But when I come into this position, I fix my shoulders, now I can feel it working. I can feel it spreading around the torso, into the lats, even in the pecs, through the abdominals, so on and so forth. You can feel all those muscles working as you're doing it. So what you're doing is you're activating and optimally loading the muscles that much more effectively. But you're not doing it by having a heavy weight in your hands, you're doing it by resisting the weight pulling you around, which is a more effective way of how the core works effectively. Which is again why sit-ups, crunches, back extensions are just ineffective exercises, because the core isn't great at generating movement or producing movement. They're not very powerful muscles for that. These muscles are very good at laying down and being locked together in their 3 layers. And this is where kettlebells can come from that. So again, if we then take it up another notch and we start just throwing it around a little bit, again, what we can get is all of this happening. So we're getting too much from the legs, but what we just want is a little pulse from the hip and a little flick with the arm. And again, you can feel the core working that much more effectively. Because again, you're resisting being pulled around by the weight. So again, it's a much more effective exercise to choose. It loads the core more optimally, it spreads that load more optimally because it goes around the torso, which essentially builds your core strength and stability how your core is designed, which is to spread load around the torso so the hips and the shoulders can do their job, which is produce movement, i.e. a squat, a lift, a sprint, a jump, or whatever it is, a throw, so on and so forth. So there's all these different types of things that we can learn from using kettlebells that we can't necessarily learn from doing sit-ups and crunches, and in some respects from planks and side planks that I've talked about that I will promote in other videos. If you found this information helpful, just click the link below. You'll go through to my How to Build Core Strength and Stability 12-week program. You can sign up here and now. It's a beginner's program for 12 weeks. It then takes you into intermediate and advanced training programs after that, where we start using equipment like kettlebells, dumbbells, gym balls, so on and so forth. So if you want to build core strength and stability, if you want to do it better, if you want to do it more optimally, just click the link below.